Sonic X Episode 59. The beginning is worthless padding. Somehow Chris had designed his machine so that nobody but him could be teleported to Mobius. Well, to be fair, it's responsible to do that so you won't have criminals or evil militaries warping to Mobius to take over the place and ruin the whole world. I wish he said that though. And Chuck says that he can send materials to Mobius. Vanilla then sees some crates show up so close to her that she's lucky the crates of clothes didn't telefrag themselves with her. I did think it was funny how the clothes covered her and she made that ooh sound. I guess she works as a comedy character. I then hated hearing Vector's extremely horrible voice. I really was hoping that I would never see the Chaotix in Sonic X again. Vanilla calls Vector for a favor. Charmy cries obnoxiously, proving my point, and instantly stops crying when told not to cry, instead of being realistic. Archie Charmy was never like this. And Espio gets pepper put on him? Why? They were really drunk when they thought they should make the Chaotix like this. They did no research on how they were normally portrayed before this. Their voices are god-awful and their portrayals are disgusting. Espio says he can't cruise the galaxy without a ship. And predictably, the second that Vector asks where they could get a ship, they get one. Seriously, who was asking for the Chaotix to come back? I thought they'd be universally hated in the show after the first episode was a bad fanfiction parody of their characters. Sonic somehow goes for a run around the spaceship in space, and Knuckles does a checkmate and gets frustrated that Sonic's running around instead of playing chess with Knuckles. Then Sonic runs off the spaceship and falls, and Knuckles complains that now someone has to go after him. How is Sonic not dying from being in outer space? And how did he even fall off the spaceship when the only way he could have ran along it was if it had artificial gravity to force him to be on it? I don't care that they're cartoon characters, that doesn't make bad writing okay. Even Pendergast never wrote Sonic surviving in the vacuum of space perfectly fine. And Polar's went out of his way to avert that. Knuckles uses a gliding device with a rope attached to it to go after Sonic. And Cream is scared because the ship is going to catch up to them soon. And Chris says their sensors aren't picking up weapons on the ship, as they're worried that it's a Metrix chip. Even at this point, when they think there's no weapons on the ship. Tails complains that they could have gone after Sonic in the Blue Typhoon. It was amusing that Vector said he wishes he knew how to use the ship's communicator. And it's a good thing they explained that, too, to fill in the plot hole. And Charmy's told to stay out of the boxes meant for someone else. Vector boards Chris's ship, and Chris is standing there with a frying pan. I'm smiling right now. Too bad a death cloud appears out of nowhere, so we don't get to see Vector being beaten up. To be fair, Vector did start a fight with them in his first appearance. But they still should have known it was Vector and not a Metrix because they can see! Then they fight Espio after he gets discovered by Amy's paint, and he gets beaten up too. Why have action scenes if you can't even see their fists colliding with them? This is making me smile, but it'd be way more cathartic if it was done well. Then they all charge on Charmy and beat him up too. He was in a disguise, but why did he have to have a disguise? So him getting hurt was forced. This doesn't work as trying to make up for the fact that the Chaotix suck by letting us see them get beaten up, because I'm not seeing the fists impact them. I love that Vector has a bandaged arm, they'll a bandage, so there's actual consequences to them getting hurt. Tails decides to board Vector's spaceship, as I seriously wonder how no one knew who they were fighting. There's no way that in-universe there would be a dust cloud there, because there's no dust to throw up. Come on, how would they not recognize Vector, Espio, and Charmy's voices? Tails flies his plane to what looks like the Chaotix's house to him, and he tells Vector that he didn't know it was him, and it's okay. But somehow, Charmy and Espio instantly assume they're being tricked, and Vector instantly believes it. This is the worst portrayal of the Chaotix ever. Seriously, even Pendergast never made me this angry with the Chaotix. This show seems to think handing the characters the idiot bowl is good comedy, but it's not because I'm just getting angry. At least Vector's not talking with that awful rapper speech from Archie though, but his voice is still total garbage every time I hear it. He makes the spaceship go crazy as he drives it too fast. Vector in Fleetway is a literal genius who even has a lab to himself. I like that better. Chris apologizes to the Chaotix looking ashamed, and his friends do as well. And somehow the Chaotix are all magically healed of their injuries. They help unload the stuff Chris's family sent to them as I'm reeling from how easy the conflict was solved. I feel like I blinked and I missed it. One moment the Chaotix were panicking, and the next they're not. Chris feels guilty because his family are worried about him, and he wishes he could tell them he's alright. Amy invites the Chaotix for tea and cake, and Espio insists on leaving instead. While I'm desperately wishing I was rid of them, Vector lampshades that they don't want to be rude, and Vector is revealed to be a big eater as he asks for thirds. And he asks Cream if she's sure she should be playing around in space. And she gets offended and insists she's useful overly defensively. It's out of character for Cream to get that offended that easily. Vector amuses me when he tries to imitate Vanille's voice. And I can't blame him for assuming that Vanilla wanted Cream to come back. If logic was there, Vanilla would want her back. Instead, he's called delusional by Charmy, his so-called friend, and Espio thinks that he refuses to make sense. How does assuming that Vanilla wants her daughter back not make sense? It doesn't make any sense for her to not want her daughter back from a dangerous spaceship. Vector was never like this in the vast majority of the times he showed up before this. So it's wrong. He puts Cream in a bag, and somehow Cream is instantly screaming and begging to be let out, and just lets Vector walk away with her over his shoulder. It seems like almost every sentence of this review is pointing out how stupid the writing is. It's like worlds collide again. It's frustrating, just like last time, when Vector came to a detective conclusion. He should have logically been right. Why make him a detective if he's going to be wrong about everything? How is he a detective then? Cosmo turns out to be with Cream and says she's not going to let him take Cream where she'd be actually safe. She flies all over the place, and you'd think she'd be injured from slamming to the wall at one point. Her voice actor wasn't even trying to sound badass when she said that she's not letting him take Cream back. Espio throws a shuriken, which breaks the ship's claws as it inexplicably explodes. Knuckles finally gets to Sonic and lampshades that he thought he was going to run out of rope. And Sonic has no social skills as he leaves Knuckles behind in space without a second thought. I can barely pay attention out of sheer boredom, and before I know it, Sonic bursts through the window to get to Vector, somehow not writhing in pain from shards of glass flying into him and staying there and hurting him. And I desperately wish that Vector had laryngitis for the whole episode. Why did the camera cut away when Sonic tried to land a hit on Vector? I wish I got to see that. Cosmo talks them out of it. And apparently Chris is the only one who's in a spacesuit, which was totally distracting when he was trying to talk Vector out of kidnapping Cream. Cream talks Vector into going home and admitting he was wrong. Can the episode end already? It's not like it didn't make me smile, but the Chaotix had horrible, horrible voices that ruined it. And it was totally forced that the good guys attacked them, and it didn't know who they were bothering. Oh yeah, and the story ends with Rouge discovering Shadow's pod. At least I assume that, since the anime tries to be like the games more than it should. So this has to be the case. Seriously, why is Chris the only one in a spacesuit? It feels like the dumb Sega mandates on the characters, where they're not allowed to change outfits, and we're not allowed to see their feet. It's like they're not thinking of them as actual people, and that's the only reason I can think of for why they think it's a good idea to not make them have spacesuits.